Well, Graham, I appreciate you coming on to chat today.
For having me.
I started this podcast like 2 months ago to try and create a voice in Southern LA just about youth football, about what it looks like, the US model, and to have someone like you come on is top quality. So first off, for people that listen, played in the Premier League, 142 games, was it?
Yeah, roughly about 140, 150 games, yeah.
So my first question to you is, what was it like to play in the Premier League?
It's unbelievable. It's every kid growing up, especially from back home in the UK, wants to go and play in England, the Premier League. In my opinion, it's the best league in the world. So for me to get the opportunity to do that from where I grew up as a kid, to go down and play in the Premier League was everything to me. As I said, growing up, it's the level everyone wants to get to. So when that opportunity arose for me, then it was dreams come true, I'd say.
What was the standard like playing in it? Because obviously we go and watch the matches and stuff. But what was the standard like to play in that?
Do you know what? At the time, when you're involved in that environment, it's not something you overthink of. It's only recently, when I've came out of it and stopped playing, that you look back and you think there was some hell of a players. Only last week I was actually watching Premier League years, and it's
the best show.
2010, 2011, and some of the players involved in it, like Yaya Toure, Lampard, Gerrard, like top Aguero, like just some of the players. Even when you go to the lesser teams, so Fulham, Danny Murphy, Bobby Zamora, like real quality players. So it's fantastic to go and play against people at that level. The level is top, really top.
And for you playing in the Premier League for teams like Norwich and West Brom, what did that look like for you? Because you got promoted, you got promoted twice?
Yeah, so when I first went down to West Brom, they were in the Premier League. I spent 7 or 8 months in the reserves. I was in the manager's ear for the last couple of months of the season, so I wanted to go on loan. Like, I just wanted to play it. Although I went down and played in the Premier League, it came to a point where I was 7 or 8 months in, I just wanted to play. So I was in his ear, can I go and play, can I go and play, can I go on loan? And fair play, he says, no, you're not going on loan, I'm going to put you in. So he put me in against Man City at home. That was my debut, just when Man City were getting a little bit of money.
And that's when you scored, right?
No, I never scored.
No?
We won that game though. And then we got relegated that year, so that was my first taste of it for a couple of months at that level. And then the first season in the Championship was probably my best season in football. I think I scored like something 18, 20 goals from midfield. Di Matteo was the manager. We got promoted back up again. And then after that, I spent like 7 or so years in the Premier League after that.
Your first goal was against Man City though, right?
Not my first Premier League goal. I scored against Man City at the Etihad. I think we lost 3-1 in the game. But yeah, I scored against them then.
And then you played in that. One game that always sticks out to me is Fergie's last match.
Yeah.
You were involved in that. What was that like to play in?
Yeah, it was incredible. Someone, again, from being from Scotland, someone that the whole place looks up to, probably the greatest manager that's ever been produced. So for him to be from Scotland, it was fantastic to be involved in that. And what a fitting way to go out, 5-5. I think Lukaku scored, was it 2 or 3 he scored? I got a couple of assists for him. So yeah, just to be part of that was absolutely incredible.
What was he like to play with? He's a monster, him, isn't he?
Yeah, he was only young at the time. I think he was 18, 19-year-old, but so strong. A little bit raw back then, I said, because he was still just a kid, but in terms of just raw ability, we could lay him the ball in the halfway line, and I think he would hold people off into the box. He was just that strong. So, look, that's what it's all about, to go at that level and play to play with players like that. And what he's done in his career after that's been fantastic.
Baby, you've lived there. I think I got it down as 142 appearances in the Prem for Norwich and West Brom. You literally lived like every kid's dream. But how did it start for you? So this podcast is about youth development and about where kids start and how to make it to the top. So to start with, what did youth development look like for you within the academy setting?
Growing up, I think it started at, it's a little bit different back home, so boys club level, you're probably used to that.
Yep.
Back home in the UK, so I played at Rangers Boys Club, which had an affiliation with Rangers, but it wasn't fully associated with it. And from there, I got into the Rangers Academy at like 11-year-old, and I spent a couple of years there. And one of the biggest setbacks I had was being released at a 13-year-old at Rangers. It was the end of the world, crying, went home, saying to mum and dad, that's me, I'm finished, I don't want to do this anymore. But fair play to my dad, he was probably the biggest influence I've had in my career. He was like, no, like, get your boots back on, we're going to keep going at this. And I went a couple of trials at Hibernian back home, and then I ended up signing for Livingston, who are renowned for having a good youth setup. There's a lot of boys came through there and went on to play in the Premier League as well. So I went there till I was 16, and then left school at 16-year-old. Not much qualifications behind me because I was fully focused on being a full-time professional, and I managed to do that from when I was 16-year-old and at Livingston.
So growing up in Scotland, before you got that to the academy, I guess you just played football every day with your mates, like in school, after school.
Absolutely,
5-6 aside.
Yeah, that's what we done. Yeah, it was straight from the walk to school. I used to take a ball with me. The walk was 5-10 minutes. I used to take a ball with me to school, do keepy ups in the way, and as soon as we got there, the ball was away. You done your school hours, and I always remember. Still have a laugh with my mates at the minute now that we still speak to. In my primary school, there was about 15 boys in the class, and I used to have me and 2 others used to play against the other 13 in the school pitch. And if I lost the game, I was like raging, so upset. I had to win the game. The game didn't finish until I win, so that's just the mentality that I had. I just always wanted to win. And just, as you said, back home after that, straight in, get your dinner, straight back out with the ball, and you didn't come back home until your mum and dad called you in when it started to get dark outside. But that's the kids nowadays have got it a little bit different, with social media and electronics with games, PlayStations. It was a little bit different to what it is now, so it's a little bit harder for kids to. I think you really need to have that desire that you want to go and do it, that you want to just get the ball and get out and go and practice.
So one of my key take when I was growing up, exactly the same what you've said, we'd play 5-a-side, right? Structured, no coaching. I think that's one of the biggest things that kids, especially in the US, miss. Do you think that structured environment of just getting the ball and playing is missing now, even back home?
Yeah, to a certain extent. I mean, like we spoke about there, there's absolutely nothing wrong with going out with your mates, no coaches, 5-a-sides, and just playing for 2 or 3 hours, what we done back in the day. But I do think it gets to a certain stage of a kid's development that they do have to be coached, because I'll use an example is when I went lower down the levels at the latter part of my career, I found that the players, they weren't fully tactically aware, they hadn't been coached properly. So I do think, yeah, I totally agree, to a certain age you just got to let the kids go and express themselves, go and play, go and have fun, go and enjoy the game. But when you get to a certain age, I don't know what that is, 13, 14, 15, when it maybe gets to 11v11, you do have to coach the kids and tactics, where to be in certain points. If your left back's got the ball, where does your centre midfielder go? Things like that do have to come into the game, because the earlier you can get it in, then it's better for the kids to know that. But fully agree that, yeah, to a certain extent, kids just going to have to enjoy it until they're ready to go to that next step.
Yeah, it's letting the game be the teacher, right? Even outside of that, when I was at Sunderland until I was 13, and then even outside of that, we would play 5-6-a-side. Even outside of our training sessions with Sunderland, it was quality. Like what I learned within that is just constant pressure from your teammates. There's no one telling you what to do on the ball, for example. You've literally just got your own thoughts and your own feelings on how to express yourself in that moment. So I think that's a big thing. And it kicks on to my next question. What's your thoughts upon the rise of the 1v1 individual training? Like the hype?
Again, to a certain extent, I do agree with it. I do think kids can go and do 1v1s, but it depends what they're getting coached in that environment. I think we had a brief conversation a couple of days ago about kids are doing 1v1s and they're going there and they're doing band work and they're doing things that at that age it's. So we'll just wait for this truck to go past. At that age, then it's not beneficial for them.
Yeah.
When they're younger, they just need to get a ball, just get out and go and enjoy themselves. So if they're going to 1v1 trainings, then make it 1v1 trainings, make it 1v1 with 1v1 against their mates, and they've got the ball and it's all ball work and they're doing it, working on movements and things like that. But yeah, I think it's a tough one because it depends the coaching they're getting in the 1v1s. That's basically what it comes down to. If they're not getting the right coaching, then it's not worthwhile. No, if they're going to the 1v1 coaching and they're doing it for an hour and they're having the ball and they're enjoying themselves for the hour and they're having fun, then yeah, I'm all for it.
Yeah, I saw a lot of things, right? And yeah, we had the conversation of I'm seeing footballers go and do individual training with someone, and they're 10, 11, 12, and it's band work, or it's squats for 20 minutes, or it's just dribbling through cones, passing, and like, to me, that's not going to help them in the game. We have this conversation a lot. My opinion on individual training is, we actually had this conversation on Friday, and it's good to talk about it, but I truly believe that it's a little bit like a house. You've got like the foundations and the structure, and you build all the way to the roof. That's my opinion on it. And when you go into the individual training, if they're under 13, because they're still working on the foundations, the technical, both feet left and right, passing, receiving, dribbling, shooting, they've got to be with a teammate training. Because if let's say, for example, you do 8 weeks with one player, individual training, then you put them into a game, they're not going to get the pressured scenario that they've got individual training.
Yep, I fully agree with that. And what my stance on it is, if they're doing the 1v1s, they still have to be doing club environment alongside it as well, because as you said, you can't replicate when you go and play against your teammates. It's alright if you're doing 1v1 and I'm the coach and I'm feeding the ball into him and he's taking a touch and he's finishing. But what happens when there's a teammate there and a teammate there and I fire a ball through? Like, where do you take the touch?
Yeah.
Do you take it one way? Do you take it the other way? So yeah, like I said, I'm all for doing it, but you have to do it alongside team environment. If it helps that extra 5-10%, then yeah, why not go and do it? But yeah, I fully agree, you have to do it along with it.
Yeah, because after 13, 14, 15, that's the piece where you're either got it or you don't, right? You're either technically very good or you're not. And I think if you're technically very good at 13, 14, 15, then you can do the individual with their coach of playing and receiving and turning, because they can then go into a game scenario and replicate it because they've already got the technique. Yep. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I fully agree with that. There's certain things within the game that sometimes you just can't teach. Sometimes a kid just gets it. Like, you watch him and you can just tell. Like, if I go and watch a training session on my son's football or a game that he's in, and I see a player, you just think he knows, like, the way he receives the ball, the way he takes it. Sometimes you just can't coach it. Sometimes a kid just picks it up. You can try and implement it into them. Sometimes they won't get it. Sometimes they will. But I think the best players and the best kids, you can just see it. You can just see when the way they receive the ball, the way they move with the ball. You just know straight away.
When did you realise growing up that you had made it? And the reason I ask you that is, there's a lot of kids out here that I teach that all want to go to LA Galaxy and LAFC, but they're not doing work outside of the club training in order to get there. Total different environment, different culture. Where with you played all the time with your mates. But when did you realise that you made it, and what separated you from everyone else?
Well, I probably realised when I properly made it to a high level when I signed at West Brom. I mean, no disrespect to Livingston, because it was the first club that gave me my opportunity. I loved the club. But when I went there at 16, I think we were in the old first division in Scotland. It was great that it was full time for me, but that wasn't where I wanted to spend my full career. Did I grow up when I was 12, 13, 14 ever thinking I'm going to get to the Prem? Probably not, but I didn't really think of that. I didn't really say, like, I want to get to that level. I just wanted to be a footballer. I just wanted to play football. That was the end goal for me. So what separated me? Just my desire to be better. Like I said, I left school at 16, and once I had that taste of being a professional footballer, I just wanted to get better. And when I went down to West Brom, that hunger came out again. I was just wanted to go in every day. I love being there. I mean, I say that to my son as well. Like, go and play, but enjoy it. See if you don't want to do it, don't do it. But see if you do, give everything and enjoy yourself. I think that's the biggest thing for me when kids go and do it. Don't like going watching kids when they're upset and you can look and they're not enjoying themselves. I think they have to enjoy it. That's the biggest thing for me. They have to go and enjoy themselves. At that point, there's no point in doing it. There's no point in, even as a coach, there's no point in you trying to coach a kid and teach him and try and make him better if he doesn't really want to do it.
Yeah, I agree, and that's why I try and make all my sessions first fun. Like, I'm massively on player development. I'm player centered, not coach centered. So I want to make sure that these kids that come into the environment, one, they want to come back, so they have fun. Two, they're with their mates, but they're also learning. So it's funny you mentioned that word fun. Like, I feel like out here, a lot of kids are just serious about it, and they just take the fun away. And I feel like a lot of, and it's my follow up question is, what do you think about parent involvement within the game? What advice would you give to parents if they have a son or daughter that's at any level? You know, whether they're just starting or they're very good.
But I'll just go back to what we spoke about there. I think it has to be fun, but it also has to be serious. But you have to enjoy the serious part of it, of learning. So it has to be fun learning the game.
Yeah.
When I say fun, I don't mean go and have a laugh with your mates. You have to enjoy the serious stuff. You have to enjoy learning and getting better. So that's what the kids have to. What do I think? Involvements from parents. Me personally, I don't get involved too much in my kids' stuff. So I let the coaches do their stuff. When we get home after the game, I'll give them a couple of pointers and say, like, try this or try that. But listen, every parent wants their kid to go and be as best as they can. So they're their main focus in that environment. So they just want the best for them. Like, as I say, for me, when I've been involved in the game, I don't want to put too much pressure on my kid as well. I just want him to go out there, enjoy and get better and learn, because coaches are there to coach. That's their job. It's not my job.
Yeah.
If I wanted that to be my job, I would go and try and get involved in it. But I just let the coach, and parents can have their input when they want to have their input, but not to the detriment of the coach and what he's trying to do.
So for coaches, what do you look for in a coach?
For me or for my kids?
It could be both.
To get better. Like, I want to see progress in me personally. I want to see progress in my kid. I want to go and watch him from when the season starts to when the season finishes, and I want to see him get better.
Yeah.
But I keep saying it, I want my kid to come home after a session and be, I enjoyed that. I ask him after every session, like, what did you learn today? And it's like trying to get blood out of a stone sometimes with the kids. And I want him to go and I want him to learn. I want him to come home and thinking he's learned something and he knows a bit more about the game. So I want that from the coach to bleed into my kid anyway.
What's your thought on coach education and coaching qualifications at grassroots level?
It's a difficult one. I've started my coaching licenses a few years ago, and sometimes in it's a little bit of box ticking. You know, I mean, there's stuff involved in it that I think FAs or educational courses just have to tick boxes. When you've played the game for a long time, like I said, I've played the game for 20 years, you tend to know the game. Like, I could go and watch a game of football and you know what you're looking for, you know what's going on. But I agree, you have to go and do some sort of coaching level to progress and get coaching jobs. So yeah, I know why they do it, I understand why they do it, but there has to be some sort of give when you've played the game for a long time. What you have to go through to get a job in football or soccer and stay in the game.
Do you think at grassroots levels, coaches need to be educated or go on a coaching course or a coaching badge and get licenses in order to coach grassroots?
To a level, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's like anything in any job that you have to have an education about that industry. There's no point in just someone off the street coming and saying, I'm going to take these kids, because it goes back to the point what you spoke about a moment ago. If I'm sending my kid to a coach who doesn't know about the game and hasn't got enough education on how to coach and how to be involved in the game, then you're not going to get that satisfaction that your kid's going to learn from the session. So to a level, and if that coach wants to progress to the next level, then absolutely they have to go and do the step up of that course.
Yeah, that's my biggest ick with coaching, as I'm massively about education. So I feel like even at grassroots level, Graham, like, you know, coaching club round here, you know, the 7v7, the kids just starting, I feel like you need to have some level of education understanding, because they're prime years for the foundations and technical aspect of the game and tactical. And if you don't really know the game or not qualified, then it's not really helping and supporting the kids. It might be a really fun environment, a fun performance environment, but actually when you strip it down, it might not be as good if they've
that's exactly what we said there. It has to be fun, but they have to learn. And if the coach hasn't got the ability to make the kids learn while making it fun, you say there's no point in a coach going and being the, oh, my coach is so funny, let us do this and let us do that. But what did you learn today? Not much. But that's not any good for the kids that are involved. It's not any good for the system. So yeah, they have to have knowledge about the game, because if they're 7, 8-year-old, whatever it is, 10-year-old, there's a foundations need to be set. That's
Yep.
when the foundations of like the technique, how they receive the ball, what they do, and when they get to 14, 15, 16, that's when the next step with the education has to come in, so that the foundations are
Yep.
already set. So yeah, I do agree that it's important.
So I want to move into the US model versus the rest globally. What coming to America to live recently? What's your thoughts currently on the US Federation and the US system and the model and everything that goes on here?
I've only been here a short time. I think I've only been here 3 months or so, so I've not seen massive amounts of youth football. But looking from the outside in, we've mentioned about the pay-to-play system as well. It's what I will say is that there is plenty of kids involved in soccer here. Like, you don't go past a soccer field any day of the week and it's not filled with kids. So they must be doing something right. But it's a business, so people are treating it like a business. I think back home in the UK, if you try to do that, then I think you would probably lose a lot of kids. But now that it's in here, how do you get it out? How do you change it to when someone set up that business and they're bringing in a lot of income through it? How do you then start to say, right, okay, I'm going to start to do, because this is something I've thought about, to try and get free soccer to the kids. How could you do it? How could you sustain it when there's so many other teams that are charging so much? How could you make it free? If anyone knows, then willing to sit down and have a conversation, because I think that'll get more kids involved. Even though, like I said, it seems to be that there is a lot of kids involved, but I think back home you've got so many free ways to play. It's not as expensive as it is here.
Do you think that goes all the way up to the US national team now? Do you think we're seeing a lot of the underneath with the youth development of only so many kids can play, only so many can go to an academy because they can afford to play at such a higher level? Do you think now that's gone up to the US men's national team where those players were within that environment too? Do you think that has a knock-on effect?
Potentially. Look, every association, every country wants to get the youth team coming through, the players coming through. So once you get to the pro level, I'm right in saying that they don't have to pay when they go into that system, so it's a little bit different. But they're obviously picking the best players from the youth sort of soccer there. So is it having an effect? I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. There's plenty of good players that are coming through in the national team. They've got a real quality side. If you look through their team, there's players playing at the highest level. Yep. So at the moment they're probably underachieving a little bit. But I've seen that plenty of times when there's so many good players in a team. They've got an unbelievable manager there to try and fix it as well. So yeah, it's difficult.
Yeah, I think grassroots football here, the pay-to-play model, I think it's got its pros and it's got its cons. I think that the biggest con for me is only a certain population of parents can afford their kids to play out here. And I remember when I first came to California, I went down to Venice Beach and there was like a little five-a-side going on and there was just like street kids playing there. I got involved and honestly I couldn't get near the ball for about half an hour with these kids, only like 14, 15. And chatting to them, and a lot of them said, yeah, I just couldn't afford to play club.
Well, that's even back home, like a lot of the players that come through, they're from not deprived areas, but they're from like normal areas. They're not come from wealthy families, because like we touched on it at the start of the conversation, it's kids that are just out in the street with their mates, with their friends, with a ball. No fancy pitches, no fancy fields, they're just on the street playing with their mates, and they progress from there. They're doing it from a young age, so like you say, it's just having the ball, getting used to things with the ball, and that's why you see a lot of the better players come from not as wealthy families.
Yeah, and lastly, for players that are trying to make it into an academy, that are serious footballers out here, what advice would you give those players?
said it earlier, like they have to enjoy it, but they have to enjoy working hard. Like I said, it's not just going there and having fun. You have fun while doing the dirty stuff, while doing the hard work. You have to enjoy that side of it. That's something I loved to do when I was younger. It's not easy. It's everybody sees the glitz and the glam, and it's the best job in the world, but it takes a lot of work to get there. You have to be dedicated, especially when you're younger, when you get to the ages where you see your friends doing things but you can't do. So it's hard work, just putting in the hard work and listening to your coaches as well, because like you say, coaches know best. They've been educated. A lot of coaches have played at the highest levels, so just listen and learn from them, and just put in the hard work and enjoy doing it.
What about setbacks? What advice would you give on setbacks?
Just keep going. I suffered my biggest setback when I was 13, 14 and thought it was the end of the world, but there's other opportunities out there. You see it so many times where people get released from clubs and they move on after that and they hit different heights. Everyone progresses at different stages, and everyone's got different opinions. So if it's your dream and it's your desire and you've got that hunger to keep doing it, then keep doing it. Keep working hard, and there'll be opportunities there. Everyone will find a level where they're at. If you're destined to go to the highest level and you work hard and you put in everything, you'll get to the level then you're supposed to go to. I fully believe that. People don't get to the highest level by luck. You will get to the level where you're meant to be at, as long as you put everything into it. You will.
I also say to my players too, on a Monday or Tuesday, when I see them at sessions, I'm like, oh, who watched the Man United match on Saturday? And they're like, nah. Who watched the Arsenal? Nah. Chelsea? Nah. Do you watch the Premier League? Nah. I'm like, lads, visual learning is key in this game. Like, you have to watch it, because even when we were kids, you'd see Ronaldinho do a trick. You tried for 5 hours, so you nailed it.
It's different now, as we said earlier, with social media, PlayStations, and everything else goes on. Like when I was younger, I used to watch Italian 90 back in the UK. It was like,
can you remember
Channel 4, Channel 5. Any football was on, I would watch it. Anything. And as you said, kids nowadays, they don't tend to watch it. I still do it. I'm still sitting in the house and I watch any game I can find on TV. Mexican game, English game, Scott, any game, I'll just sit and watch it. Drives my wife crazy, but I just watch it because it's all I've done.
I was watching on British Eurosport the other day some 7v7 tournament in Spain, and they had it was the under-16s playing 7v7, under-17s, like Villarreal, Real Madrid, Barca, and I was like, they're playing 7v7 here, and we've got 11, 12-year-olds playing 11v11 out here. And to me, it just didn't make sense in my head. I was like, why can't we not create something? I've tried, rather than going to 11v11 tournaments, in the middle of Norco or San Diego, can we not just do 7v7 tournaments in and around here? What's your thoughts on that?
Again, at a certain level, I think you do have to go 11v11.
Yeah.
What is it here? What age group did they go to 11v11 here?
2013. So they're 11, 12.
Yeah. So that's a fair age. So I think before that, like you touched on there, if it's 5v5 or 7v7, I think you need to get kids with the ball. There needs to be a smaller spaces and get on the ball, because if it's 11v11 when the kids are too young on a massive field, it's going to be too much for them. There's going to be too much space, not enough kids getting on the ball and working on what they need to work on. But when they get to a certain level, it do have to be 11v11. Whether they can implement getting it to 11v11 in smaller fields, then that might work, because like I said, I do think it's important at a certain stage of your career where you do have to learn playing in that environment where it's 11v11, because you have to learn specifics of the game of where you need to be in certain positions.
The English FA have just changed the model, right? It's now 14 years old, you've got to play 11v11.
Is that what it is? Yeah. So when I was younger, we were always 11v11 right through, but it was smaller fields. I always remember playing for my school team, it was 11v11, but it was smaller. You probably remember it was like Red Ash back in the day.
Yeah.
We played on that. But yeah, it was always smaller fields, and it was 11v11. So.
Oh, grass that was about this big.
Yeah.
Nuts. But lastly, just want to ask a question. I listen to a lot of podcasts, and I feel like a lot of players get asked the same question that have played in the Premier League, especially centre midfielders. Who's the best player you've played against in the Premier League?
You get asked this quite a lot. So I mentioned some players earlier on. Some of the players that I've played against have been absolutely top. I played Scotland against Spain, where I was playing against Xavi, Iniesta, Busquets, Premier League, Gerrard. But the best probably all round, it has to be Gerrard, I think. his presence. That was the biggest thing for me moving from the Championship to the Premier League. Like absolute specimens, you know what I mean? Like so fit athletes. But he would be unbelievable. He'd get the ball in his own box and he would find a like 50-yard diagonal, and before you knew it, he was at the edge of the box hitting the shot, and you were like, how did he get from there to there so quick? But yeah, just unbelievable players. And then I had the chance to he came to Rangers as manager as well. Unfortunately, I was injured at the time, so I never got the opportunity to play under him too much. But yeah, just playing against players like that for me, as I said, growing up from where I came from, to go down and you don't realise at the time, because you don't want to be like, oh, you're in awe of people. It's not until you finish your career and you look back and you think, some of them are good players that I've come up against.
There's one player that I liked growing up, and that a lot of professional footballers say now, is Moussa Dembele. When he was at, did you play against him?
Played against him at Spurs. I actually watched a couple of interviews of ex-players, and they always say he was the best player that they've ever played with. And we spoke earlier about when you watch a player and you see a kid taking the ball, and you know, right, he got that, the way he glides with the ball, the way he receives the ball, and just he could go past someone so easily. Unbelievable talent. Yeah. Probably someone that never went to the heights that he could have, and I think you see a lot of his teammates have said that he should have went and played higher than what he did. But yeah, unbelievable player.
You've gone to a lot of MLS matches, right? What's your thoughts upon the league out here?
Yeah, I went to watch the Galaxy a few times. It's difficult because of the structure of the wages. It's so different to what some players can get. It's very open. I mean, I'll say that, and it's entertaining. I think they put a lot of their wage structure into more attacking players, so it makes for a good game. There's a lot of goals in it. But I think for me, I played in Australia and it was the same sort of thing. I think for me, football has to be. I don't think there can be a cap in a wage structure. I don't think that should be something that's involved in football, because if you are able to pay your players, but you should be able to do it. And I believe that would make the league better as well. But it's an entertaining league. I've enjoyed going to watch it. Anybody can beat anybody. So yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah, no, I've really enjoyed having a conversation with you today. I know I need to be mindful of your time.
Thanks very much for having me on.
Grab your, but yeah, it's honestly a real pleasure. I hope kids that listen to this honestly take it on board and actually like listen to someone that's played in the Premier League and yeah, man, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Cheers, appreciate it. Cheers.
Thank you.